So we spoke mainly about miasms. Can you tell us, because today actually in a way is one of the first talks about miasms, and it's the beginning of our course. The name of the course is Miasms, Nosodes, Sarcodes, Bowel Nosodes, etc. We have invited different speakers talking about different topics in the next kind of 6 months. Actually, it's a 20 session course. Can you share a little
Gaurang,
bit?
before you go any further,
Hmm.
let me make it very clear. I have talked of miasm
Yeah.
as it was written by Hahnemann,
Yes, exactly.
because my belief is very simple. If I have to practice homeopathy, I have to practice according to Hahnemann. I
Hmm.
have no right to include my thought in the name of homeopathy. If I do that, I can call it something else. But Hahnemann's homeopathy is what this miasms concept is this.
Yes, yes. So this today's talk was mainly about Hahnemann's kind of understanding of miasm. Just this is
Exactly.
only for our participants who are listening to this. What would also be interesting for us to know, because Hahnemann was so closely connected to Bonninghausen at some point, so many other of his colleagues. What was Bonninghausen's idea about a miasm? What can we decipher from his understanding and his clinical idea about miasm?
See, like everybody else, there were different phases of life in Bonninghausen.
Hmm.
So we find Bonninghausen prescribing in different ways. But at the end of the day, he was one of the most ardent follower of Hahnemann, the strictest follower of Hahnemann, one on whom Hahnemann relied so much that he has referred his book in his Organ of Medicine.
Yes.
Only two books are referred, and one of them is Bonninghausen.
Mm.
And Bonninghausen's concept of miasm, or how much he used miasm, one can understand from this simple fact that he was the person who first wrote a repertory of antisoric medicine.
Very interesting.
He listed the medicine. So he very much used miasm for his prescription. There is no doubt about it. Later on, first he started with antisoric, then he included some anti-syphilitic and antipsychotic also. So there is simply no doubt about uh, Bonninghausen's concept of miasm. It was totally Hahnemannian concept. Based on that, Bonninghausen used to practice.
Very interesting. Because when we read about Hahnemann's life, in my limited understanding, whatever I was able to read about Hahnemann's life, and especially the later of half of his life, Rima Hadley has written a couple of books, as you know, Search of Later Hahnemann and similar books of that sort. It's mentioned that towards the last part of his life, he was living in Paris, and some case notes they were able to decipher. And he used to often start his cases by sulfur, or it was his very often his, let's say, one of the opening remedies, or if I can say beginning of his cases. That's what she mentions in her writing. Can you share a little bit about this, because it's many questions that our colleagues have on this.
Not only this is something very interesting,
Mm.
and you may have also done it in your practice, and most of us has done it in our practice, that we try to give one intercurrent medicine, anti-miasmatic medicine, and that
Absolutely.
medicine acted as the curative.
Yes, yes, yes.
You will find, if you analyze the cases given by whatever is available of Hahnemann, then
Right.
you will find that Hahnemann has many places started with sulfur. Maybe because that why information is not available.
It's not
So
available. Exactly.
maybe because sulfur is a wonderful medicine to start the treatment, and then the medicine acted so favorably that there was no need for change of medicine for a long period of time. Maybe never. So his use of sulfur was
Yeah.
amazing, and
Exactly.
anybody who practices
Yes.
will agree with this, that what I said earlier, that many a times we give a medicine that it will remove the block, and that medicine ultimately acts as the curative medicine.
Totally. Totally. Intercurrent remedies, which is a more recent or much later the word is used, but actually Hahnemann was actually doing it in a way. from the beginning only, and not only as intercurrent. Actually, it was the indicated remedy, if we can use that word, in most cases.
How can you use an intercurrent remedy without indication? Because
Exactly.
we don't have only one intercurrent. We have so many intercurrent. So
Mm.
out of all these intercurrent, which one to choose? Again, the indication.
Indicated one.
So the basic question is that
It's also very interesting that Hahnemann, of course, was able to talk about the three miasms, and much later, Allen and other colleagues spoke about comparatively a newer miasm, tubercular miasm. I think Alan spoke about. So, what are your kind of because I consider you as someone whose knowledge about classical homeopathic literatures is really second to none, and that's why I'm asking you to talk about this. That what do you think happened in the history of homeopathy that there was an idea that a need of understanding at that moment of this miasm? Can you share something, sir?
uh, Gaurang, I will not make anybody's task easier.
Yeah.
I will say just this much, that if anybody think that J.H. Allen has talked about tubercular miasm,
Hmm.
read his book.
Hmm.
See for yourself whether he has talked about tubercular miasm or a tubercular state or a combination of sora and syphilis, which usually occurs. It's a common knowledge that it occurs. And we need not name it a miasm.
Hmm.
This Hahnemann has called three miasms. He had option to name many more, but he called three because three was enough.
Yes.
There was no need. Three was enough to um, understand the concept of miasm, and that was done.